Some of y'all may have seen me post videos about Bugzee and the bees, but this is an in-depth review of a picture book glow up. What is a picture book glow up? Well, a picture book glow up is when authors have already published or they are close to publishing and they realize that their book is not living its best life. And so they seek out someone that can deconstruct it and put it back together correctly. Not just anyone can do this. You do have to have lots of different skills, communication skills being one of those, because you want to involve the illustrator if you can, if the illustrator is willing to continue working on the project. Sometimes they're not, or sometimes they're not able to. I'd like to think that a lot of illustrators are willing, just not able because life, right? They have other projects, they've moved on, and sometimes they just don't care. But I don't like to think like that. So we're going to dive in to Bugzee and the Bees. Now this is the book that this is the glowed up version. So I'm going to move this out of the way for now. We're going to come back. We're going to come back to Bugzee. You stay right there, Bugzee. We're going to come back. We're going to come to when you weren't living your best life. So all picture book glow ups start with a review. I need to see what I'm working with, what's been done, what type of access I have to the source files, what type of access I have to the illustrator, what's going on with the text, and so I go through and I unpack it. So what I love about this cover is this title treatment. This could have been really cool for a lot of different treatments. There's so many fun things when you get into professional printing, and we chose other things for this book. But one thing that, if we had bottomless pockets, I definitely could have seen this being textured, and maybe we'll do that on a second print run. We could have done foil on the black parts. We could have embossed this, just some fun things that we could do. But I do really love the treatment that Tyrus created for this title. I love the color palette, the yellow and the orange and this deep blue that he's got here. This sky, I love that. And what I don't like, it's hard to be critical, but I have to be critical. And I say this as my father was an extremely critical person, and I'm very sensitive to when I receive a critique, but also when I give a critique, because I firmly believe that we are all doing our best, and that some of us are just at different stages of what that looks like, right? So I'm going to open this up. Well, one more thing, a couple more things. So this originally, I believe Nicola was doing a print-on-demand version, which is why you have this not for resale band on here. Okay, so this is an 8.5 by 8.5 paperback, and we took it up to a 10 by 10 hardback with a dust jacket through Professional Printing. So another note about the cover is I just don't ever like this. You're never going to see me do this with text where I just put it on top of something and add a stroke. So I see a lot of illustrators do that, and this goes with my presentation on why illustrators aren't book designers. Most of the time, I know we always have to add in that caveat, because there are some illustrators who can get very close to doing what I do, at least at face value. I haven't, at this time, as of the recording of this video, I have not seen an illustrator's source files that were accurate for professional printing. So, but I'm sure they're out there, because there's a lot of people like me that cross-pollinate with our tech skills. But I chose book design for picture books, and that is what I live and breathe and consume. So we open it up, and this is just a repeat of the cover. The title page is just a repeat of the cover. I will rarely do that. There may be times when it is an exact replica, but the majority of the time it is either going to be a new illustration. Let me show you this. Okay, so this is the cover. This is the title page. So sometimes we're going to do a new illustration like this, and sometimes we may do a, let me find this. And sometimes we may do a spot illustration, right? Which this is, we may lift some things from the cover and use it here. So, but I rarely will use this exact same background and basically duplicate the front cover as the title page. So because this is a paperback, it's not going to have the the glued down end sheets, but this was the original pattern that was selected for the end sheets, and then this is the copyright, dedication, and a second title page. Okay, now I have other examples. There is a way of transitioning from hardback to paperback so that you don't have to do this. That's why this was done, is because in a hardback book, this would have been the glued down page, right? Like, well, let me just show you. Yeah, this is Nicola's other book. It was also a picture book glow up. So, but this is the honeycomb pattern that we used, and see, this is glued down to the front cover. So this is actually page 2. The glue down page is page 1. But in a paperback book, you don't have a glue down. And so they had this blank page, and that's why this was done. But there's a better way to do this when you have both a paperback and a hardback. Okay, so we get that centered up. Okay, so all right, so copyright and secondary title page, which the artist is a 3D artist. I believe he works in a few different disciplines. And I mean, hats off to him. I don't do 3D art. I have not taken the time to learn that skill because, quite frankly, it's just not a priority for me. I am an artist, but I'm not drawn to the 3D art. But there are some I would have liked to have seen. You know, these bees are blurry. It's just not as crisp as I would like. I don't like the fade on this. But then we get into the real issues, okay? So front and back matter aside, although the art is good, now there are some problems because he used I don't know if he used AI, I can't say that, but he used 3D art in tandem with possibly some manual art that he was doing. So some of the hands have issues. So there are just some small things throughout this artwork that I had to either correct myself or pay a copy artist to correct, and we'll talk about those. But the number one problem that I see is organic placement for text was not considered. It's like the illustrators get lost in the art and they forget or maybe they never knew. I'm not sure. I don't know. And this is why I'm drawn to book designing. The text is a part of the art. I would never not consider a place for the text. And so that other people are doing children's books and the text placement is secondary is just mind-boggling to me. It's a book. It has to be legible. Like, come on now. So the text just stuck on the page with an outline put around it grieves my soul. Also, this is, I do not like this font. This is not the best font for children who are learning to read. But I know why he chose it, because it was thick and you could add an outline, and then to him it looked more legible, right? But that was just the wrong approach. That's like the sunken cost fallacy. I don't know, like I said, why he wasn't able to assess the art. I don't know what he was paid. Maybe he wasn't paid very much, and he was like, I have done all the doing I can do. I mean, some days you reach that point. So I don't know all the details, but I only know what I see. And this is bad. So his art is good, the text placement bad. Okay, and so we go through, and again, I'm just going to show you, it's the same thing pretty much on every page. Nowhere for the text to go. Okay, I mean, even here he could have put it in the blue, but he didn't. Okay, so I'm just going to run through these pages to show you. Now, Nicola did want glossary terms, and so he did punch those up. Okay. I mean, this drives me crazy to no end that this wasn't centered. But again, I don't know what was in that decision-making process. I wasn't a part of it. And I'm just going to keep believing he did the best he could with what he had. Okay, and then here's the glossary at the end using Nicola's photos. And then 5 things every kid can do to help honeybees. Just text on a page, not really designed. Now, this is what I see a lot, is while some illustrators are really great with text placement on the art, when they get to these back matter pages where it's 50% or more text, they flounder. I always say I've designed hundreds of books over the course of my career, and I started out in business books, nonfiction books, and essentially not picture books. I've done cookbooks, all workbooks, just memoirs, all kinds of things that you can think of. And I always say, let me grab this other book, that you can judge a book designer. You know, most of your designers can deliver on a front cover, but it's the back cover, right? When you're dealing with this much text, there is a lot of work that goes into this to make it look good. So I always judge a book cover designer by the back cover. Okay, so I mean, this looks good here, but what is standing out to me now, I'm going to go back through it in a different way, and this has not been edited. I can tell because about the author, this is lowercase, this is uppercase. Okay, there's this gap here. An editor, a proofreader would have caught this. And there's just other things going on here. I started out wanting to be an editor. I quickly determined that I just did not want to read people's manuscripts. That's not what I was about, but I have learned a lot about editing, and I do work with the Chicago Manual of Style Guide, and any editor that I hire works with CMOS as well. So after I've looked at the book, thumb through the pages, right? Then I go back and I look at the text. Like most of the time, don't even read the text first off, because I'm looking at the presentation. Like, how much work do I have to do here? And I could tell I was going to have a lot of work to do because I was going to have to create room for the text. And while this page seemed, like, okay, this one's not that difficult. I need to Photoshop the sky, remove the cloud, or add a cloud. I need to get to a solid state of contrast instead of this mixed dark and light contrast. But here, there's not much I could do to create room here, okay? And I could do some room creation here. Here was a bit more difficult. You can just kind of like look at it and say, okay, well, some of these yes, some of these no. And I also had to assess if the source files, what I was going to have to work with, or if I was going to have to Photoshop all of this out. So while I did not get the actual PSD files for this, or I'm not sure how he put this together. He did send me a PDF, and I was able to, here's kind of the thing about when you send a PDF. Just because you send somebody a PDF does not mean they're going to have access to the layers. You have to prep, you have to check that. There's things that have to be done before you create the file in Photoshop, before you create the PDF file, to make sure that those layers are accessible. So while these layers, like when I opened this up in Photoshop, it didn't come up as a text layer, a Bugzee layer, a fence layer, a sky layer, but I was able to export out the images from each page, so that made this a little bit more bearable. Okay, so art aside and text placement aside, we had to get this text under control. It was too much on some of these pages, and a picture book ideally needs to be around 750 words. Less is always better, but there are times that you need more. Just depends. But this was too much. There was so much going on here. But there was some really cute stuff like this. This was adorable. I love this so much. And so Nicola and I went back and forth about I showed her some options for the text on the page, how much text, what we needed to cut, what was absolutely necessary text-wise. And we cut down what was just extra that wasn't necessary. And then I came up with a new page display, a page layout for some of these trouble spots. I came up with a theme also. And one thing I noticed is, even though this is a book about, it's a book about Bugzee wants to be a beekeeper, but I know Nicola's heart because she is a teacher, or a retired teacher, and there just wasn't any educational value in this artwork. And not really, the text was about Bugzee, but we can think ahead about how can we, if we're going to be spending, investing $15,000 into the print run of this book, we want it to have its best chance at success. And so what are some things we can do prior to production, during the production phase, to make sure that this book gets the most bang for the buck? And so I suggested that we add, let me find, is this the correct one? Okay, I made these little books. And so I'm going to close this for now. Oh, let's look at the back while I'm here. Okay, so you just blurred out the art, so he had somewhere to put text. And while that's a technique, it's not one I use. Okay, so I made this little sample book here to show Nicola my ideas. At this stage, we had already gone through, reduced text, decided on pagination, made a whole bunch of decisions before I ever got to this little book. So you're going to see those reflected here. Okay, so like this is the new in-sheet art we went with. This is the copyright dedication and new title page. And then, of course, I just printed this with like sparse ink because it's just to show my ideas. Okay, so now you're starting to see my layout ideas come to life. Oh, this is where my little baby kitten keeps gnawing on me. We're gonna, I promise it's not infected. But we're going to, all right, so this is where you can start seeing some of my layout ideas come to life. And I'll introduce the bee and the hexagon to help with some of the text placement. And then we have, like here, I did this inset, and then I did a hexagon pattern page with some clouds and bees so I could create room for text placement, okay? And so originally, before I had this idea, I have the text across the page like this, right? So let me go through without showing you my idea first. So you can see where I had decided to move the text, and I had already done some initial photoshopping work. Okay, it gets better. This is just like step one. Everything's done in small stages, so I don't waste my time. Okay, so you can see I had the text going across the page. And like this is where how we had reduced this page here instead of all the different bubbles. Okay, that's him here and here and here and the family. Okay, all right, and so now to show you my idea and to show you why my idea didn't work, what I had to do next. Okay, so my idea was, let's add in some educational content. And so I have this flap, like let's add in this little half fold. So we can move your glossary from the back of the book and it can be interactive in the book. Okay, and so I did this on 4 pages. I also had to make a little sample to show the printer what I was wanting. Okay, so there's my little 4 half fold pages, but do you spot the same problem I spotted when I put this together? Is it doesn't matter how good your printer is. There is a variance in printing, and they're not going to be able to match this up perfectly every time for every page across 10,000 units, right? And so I had to go back to the drawing board on the text because this wasn't going to work. So I had to go back to the drawing board on the text placement. And also the printer had some requirements about the fold pagination for best production cost. Okay, so all right. So then this was my next take. I'm sure there was a few along the way because that's just how it goes. So you can see this is the same, this is the same. Aha, but now the text is not in the way of the folds. So I had to go do that. Oh yeah, this definitely got to glow up. Let's see, where were we? Okay, so this is where it started. And then it went to this. I don't know if you can see that. And it went to this. And then it went to this. And this is much, much better. Okay. And, okay, so this also, several of these pages keep getting little minor glow ups because I'm just like, oh, it can be better, it can be better, it can be better. And I want it to be its best. So, all right, so you can see I did this, 2 spots here. And then this ended up changing too. But this is where we were at this stage. Okay. He's all centered on the page now. And then this. Okay, so I've got another surprise coming. But all right, so these were my 3 little sample books that I made. Now we're ready to move on to the big kahuna. This isn't even the final one. This is the print proof. And so I I get a print proof and the author gets a print proof. So you can see here, oh man, this is so much better. I did so much work. So much work was done on this, just the cover, because your cover is not just a cover. Your cover is a promo graphic. Your cover is a banner. Your cover is a postcard. Your cover is a bookmark. And so it's just essential that this is right, especially for our kids and our representation. We want it to be its best. But if you look at these hands, I don't know what was going on here with the 3D, with the AI, with the manual. This is just bad, okay? This is bad. Even though he may have been doing the best he could do with what he had, that doesn't mean it was the best. So I was not willing to let this go to print. Even though I'm not the illustrator, my name is connected to this project. And I'm going to make sure it is as good as we can get it. Again, I do this for the kids. The picture books were a huge part of my childhood, and it is essential that we do as good as we can for our kids. So I did what I could do through Photoshop, but I needed I needed someone who is an illustrator to redo these hands, and so I connected with an illustrator. I'll drop her link in the blog post, and she glowed up the hand. She did some other work. You can see if we put these next to each other, there was a lot of positive things going on here. Like, let me show you the hand. Okay. And I added the bee, redid the bee on the nose. I redid the bees on the cover, well, using stock illustrations. But the bee on the nose, I drew from scratch in Photoshop using a reference that I had to meticulously source. So anyway, I still love the title. I did add a little bee to the title here. And then also we have, if you look here, includes 4 fold-out pages and a poster on reverse side of Dust Jacket. So I'll show that to you in a little bit, but I'm going to open it up. Again, this is the print proof. It is not, let's see if I can adjust my camera better. This is still not the perfectly crafted book, but it's so much better than it was. Okay. So this is the copyright, dedication, title page. Like this page for the final has changed. Sorry, a lot of different thoughts going through my head. The illustrator did send me some different backgrounds, and he made a few adjustments that I can move forward with to make it its best. So in the mass-produced unit, this page is slightly changed, has a different background. This one is the same. It's so cute. Okay. And then we also changed this. I'm not able to remove blur after it's been added. So the illustrator did send me this same art without any blur added to it. And so that really helped here. I added a bee. I was missing that bee. That's why print proof is so helpful. See, there's the bee. It's supposed to be here. Okay, and then here is our educational page right here. And so these are Apis mellifera bees. We had to make sure we were sourcing all the correct bees that we were using through stock photography. This is Nicola's apiary at her house. We had such a great time working on all of this. Okay, so then here is this spread big, and this is a 10 by 10. Okay, so open this up, and here's Nicola and her husband in their beekeeping suits. Then we have this spread. So you can see what I did here. I just put the mailbox in the hexagon and pulled them out. Where's my little books? Because previously it was this. Okay, so I like this much better. And then this also, slight little, just did some little photoshopping stuff there. Okay, and then this page. Okay, so again, this background has also changed since Tyrus was able to send me some revised files, so that was very, very helpful. Added the hexagon, added some clouds, make sure the sky was consistent throughout. And then we have this page here, which I love popping them out of the hexagon here. And then here we have our other educational fold about frames, honeycombs, and queen bees. Okay, oh yeah, so this is what I changed here. It went from this, it was just so much yellow, and I was like stuck with what to do. And so I was able to flip this around and add the house in the hexagon, and that just helped to give this page some visual lift, as well as I flipped the characters, and this is a much better presentation here. Okay, and this one was the same, some small adjustments, but not worth pointing out. Okay, and then here to here, and then okay, so now for the big reveal, the our poster. I think I worked just as hard on this poster as I did the whole entirety of the book. Okay. Now we've got something we can take in the classroom. We can leave with that classroom. Nicola can also have these printed individually of the cover so that they're not folded. This was a lot of work because deciding what's important enough, what makes it to the poster, what pictures, what artwork, what information. And this is, I just have to point this out. I took this picture. This is 1/12 teaspoon of honey on a penny. Penny shown as actual size. And I could not find anything that was a visual of 1/12 of a teaspoon. And so we are honey eaters here. And Nicola sent me some honey from her house. And so this is Nicola's honey on this penny. And I just love doing stuff like this. Like, how can I make this project the best it can be? Ooh, the best it can be. And we started out with probably twice as much information, and then we just worked to get it down. The anatomy of a bee. There was so much. I learned so much about these little guys. So much. And then, like, here are the queen bee, the worker bees, and the drone bees. And I made these to scale as well. So it says circles are true to size. And then we did this life cycle, honeybee geometry, and the fun facts. And then one not so fun fact, because I wanted to make sure that the people that had the allergic reactions were represented here. Okay, and then we also had to make sure this fit for ages 6 to 8. So this was so much work, but oh my goodness, it turned out so cute. And now this is the front, the dust jacket front flap. We have our URL, we have our socials, we have who did the art, who did the design, we have where it was printed, because you can print your dust jacket separately from your books. And anything that was not, anything that's being imported has to have country of origin on it. And so this way, this dust jacket is ready to go to print. If she needs to reprint it, this poster is ready to go to print. Now, as long as she's printing it in China again, if not, I'll need to change that to say whatever country she's printed it in. And then here is the back dust jacket flap that has Nicola looking like the strong, confident woman she is, and Tyrus down here with all of his achievements. Yeah, game design, okay, and illustration in his off time. It's like, I don't know nothing about designing games. I'm sure he would kick my hind if I'm like, I wouldn't know the first thing how to design a game. So I'm sure my attempt at game designing would would be way worse than his attempt at the layout of the paperback version of this book. And then here is the back cover with I'm keeping this hexagon theme for text placement, and we did the same design on the case laminate as we did on the cover. So her books are on the way from the printer, I believe they have been through production. Nicola also did a Kickstarter where I believe she raised over $10,000 for this project, and so that's good. And like I said, we've got this other book that we're going to do. It was also a glow up, a little slightly different approach. It was a different artist, so a full-time illustrator. And I'm going to do that book next, and I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you on the flip side. All right, see you later, Bugzee.